Welcome back to the Abundant Behavior Podcast. I'm your host, Ali Banks. And on my platform, I like to bring faith and business and combine it all on one platform. You know, they say that the biggest gap in the world is between knowing and doing. And the reason a lot of people don't do simply is because they lack the knowledge. So on my platform, what I like to do is I like to bring different entrepreneurs from different endeavors, different walks of life, just so they can come on, tell their story, give you guys a few gems that can help you get to your journey a little bit faster. So today we have Motivation Monday. And on Motivation Monday, I like to give you guys a word, something that I've been thinking about throughout the week, just to give you guys some motivation to kickstart your week. Today, what I want to talk about is failing forward. So what does that mean? Failing forward. And you know, a lot of people, they hear the word fail and they like, nah, Ali, I don't want to fail, man. What you even talking about? So before we move too deep into it, let's look up what failure actually looks like. What is the definition of fail? It says to be unsuccessful in achieving one's goal. So when you think about that, you like, why would I want to be unsuccessful moving forward? That doesn't make any sense. Let me break it down for a little bit. So failure is to be unsuccessful in achieving one's goal. But when I looked up failing forward, it said this right here. It says viewing setbacks and mistakes as opportunities for learning and growth rather than reasons to quit or feel discouraged. So what does that mean? If you have an opportunity and it's helping you learn and grow, does that sound like you're failing, or does that sound like you're getting better at whatever lane that you're in? To me, it sounds like you're getting better. See, the problem too many people has is if they go into something with a desired goal, they want that exact goal to be accomplished to the T, or they consider themselves a failure. So let's take myself for an example. For my first drop of Melanated Military, my clothing brand, I wanted to sell 60 sets. No, I apologize. I sold 60 sets. I wanted to sell 100 sets. I wanted to sell 100 sets for my first drop. You know, I promoted. I pushed out a lot of content. I was consistently every day pushing my brand. And so I had this high aim and goal for me to sell 100 of them. You know, and so the day came when it was time for me to do the drop. I opened up my e-commerce store and I'm watching the sales come in. I'm watching it. You know, I'm telling everybody, well, I'm going to sell 100. You know, and so I'm pushing out in the air. I'm doing what I got to do. I'm talking to God about it, you know, and so I'm like, okay, we're going to sell 100. This got to happen. And so after the pre-sale, it was 3 days and I had only sold 60. I was like, hey, God, I'm glad you didn't give me 100 sets, because I wasn't ready for that at all. Printing off the labels. I'm talking about spending money just to create the labels, packaging, driving to the post office, getting to the post office, and I created the wrong shipping labels. So I had to go back home, create new shipping labels. It was a process. So what did I say all that to say? God knew I wasn't ready. But what did I learn through the process of failing forward? I learned how to print shipping labels. I learned to check my labels before I leave the house. I learned how to be more proficient at getting the packages to the post office. I learned how to use my automations online. I learned how to open and close my store. I learned how to run a successful e-commerce store through drop shipping. I learned how to contact customers. I learned so much within that process. I didn't hit my desired goal of 100, but it doesn't seem like I failed, does it? Because I learned so much in that process. I have everything that I need now to go be a successful brand owner. But I didn't sell 100 sets. So did I fail or did I succeed? A lot of you listening to this like, man, that doesn't sound like a failure to me. That sounds like bro came out pretty much on top. He sold 60. He learned all that information. See, and that's the problem with most of you. You afraid to go into this because you have these high aims and you're scared for people to say, bro, you ain't sell 100 sets. You're afraid of that. You're afraid of what people gonna think about you. That's the failure. The one that's sitting back in their head, not taking action, but you sitting online talking about somebody else that's taking action. That's the person that's failing. They don't even try. So if you're not trying, you failed. If you're trying, you're succeeding. You're failing forward. You may not hit your aim, your target, but you're learning so much. And that's what it's all about. See, if God gave you everything you desire right now, you probably might lose it. See, a blessing in the wrong hands at the wrong time only leads to destruction. And you have to realize something as well. The enemy will bless you as well. The enemy knows tricks of deceit. He knows ways to bless you and to give you things that you desire, because he knows you're going to use this and you're not going to build up the kingdom of God. You're going to destroy the kingdom of God. And so God, he tries to fight back this urge of letting you have everything all at once, because he wants you to develop into the person that you need to be. So imagine if I would have had 100 sets. I would have been losing my mind in this apartment. I'm talking about the apartment floor was filled with jogging sets. And there was only 60 sets. Imagine 100. Imagine, bro, I had people that was coming back to me later like, bro, I never got my set. And I'm like, oh my God, I apologize. You know, and it's just a mistake because I'm not perfect. But imagine if I would have had those 100 sets. Imagine if I would have hit that aim that I thought I was ready to hit. So it's not about getting exactly where you want to be. It's about aiming for it and trying to get to that. Hey, man, shoot for the planets, man. You don't hit the planets, you hit the stars. It's one of those things that you just have to start developing. And when you start to keep these promises to yourself, when you start to stay consistent and doing something over and over, regardless of the result, you start to get really, really good at what it is that you do. See, people on the high level, these people aren't super talented. These people don't know way more than you do. They're just consistent at what they do. And when I learned that, I was like, okay, cool. I got to fall in love with the journey. And I know you guys hear that all the time. People telling you to fall in love with the journey. What does that mean? That means you have to fall in love with failing forward. You have to fall in love with not hitting that desired goal. You have to fall in love with God holding you back. You have to fall in love with the fact that every day you're going to get up and give 100%, and you might not even get a 1% of that effort back. And you have to be okay with that. But what you have to be okay with that is also knowing that it's not failure. You're getting up every single day and you're moving the needle forward. You're pushing that line forward. You have so much faith in God, and you know that this, whatever you're doing is building up the kingdom of God, and it's your purpose. So you're going to get up every day and you're going to work hard at it, diligently work hard at it, even though it's not going to yield you a result. But what is the faith for? The faith is to know it's coming in the future. If you have faith in God, if you know he's leading you to a land of milk and honey, if you know deep down inside that this is what you need to be, this is where you need to be, continue on that path until you get to where you want to go. I hear a lot of successful people online all the time. They talking about how they just didn't give up. It was nothing special. They never say anything special. They say keep God first and never give up. So what does that look like? Hey, I don't know what it looks like for you, but for me, what it looks like is Motivation Monday on Monday, getting that Wednesday word on Wednesday, being in Bible study on Monday, right? Being in church on Sunday. What does that look like for you? What are you missing the aim with? What are you in the process of doing right now? Are you discouraged? Have you talked to God about this process? But just going in on your own and just going in with these expectations and diligently working, you just have to know at the end of this, you may not be where you want to be, and that's okay. You're one step further. You know, they say if you get 1% better every single day, at the end of the year, you will be 365% better than you started. See, one thing that I used to do is I used to compare myself to other people. And you know, they say comparison is a thief of all joy, and it's true. I used to look at other people's platforms, hating on them, wondering why I'm putting out the same type of content or pushing out the same type of content or the same amount, and my platform not growing. I'm like, man, what am I doing this for? What you know what I'm saying? Why am I even doing this? This don't even make any sense. Is this even getting me closer to my goal, or is it pulling me away? Like, what am I doing? Right when you start to question yourself is when you start to lose faith in God. See, if God called you to do something, then you just have to be obedient to the fact that he called you to do something. You have to get with God in these quiet rooms and learn his voice, because when you learn his voice, you would know exactly who you're listening to. You will know exactly if you're going in the right direction. When you constantly in communication with God, he affirms you through that communication. You go back to the pastor when he confirmed you to go do to join that sports team, join that gym, join that whatever organization, get that new job. That same person that pushed you is the same voice. You just have to listen to it. You know, I was in church today. My pastor, he broke down something really profound, and I just, it just stood out to me a lot. He was saying, like, no matter how old you get, no matter where you are, a lot of the times, if your mom is in a room, it doesn't matter if it's loud or how many people, if she calls your name, you're going to know it. Like, my mom called my name. Like, my mom has a distinctive voice, and I don't know it's because I've been listening to it for so long, but I know when my mom calls me. It got to a point when I was in high school, I knew when my mom's car was pulling up because I just heard it so much. I just knew my mom. And so I'm like, man, that's crazy. He was like, you have to have that same type of ear for God's voice. But what did I say? I said, I've listened to my mom for 18 years. That means you have to seek him daily. If you want to know his voice, if you want to know you're going in the right direction, if you know if you're failing forward in the right direction, you have to get with him. But like I said, falling in love with the journey is going to be your best friend. You fall in love with people telling you no. You fall in love with not hitting that goal on the day that you said and having to continue to work and strive for it. If you fall in love with getting out of bed on those days you don't want to, if you fall in love with putting your money up for this business, and that's another thing, you gotta put some money up. You gotta pay to play. A lot of people, they don't want to pay to play, man. They don't want to put their money in the pot. They afraid. This all comes from a lack mindset. You have to change the way you think. Perspective drives performance. If you have faith and you know this business is going to work, why not put the money up? The money ain't going to come back until you put the money up. For anybody listening to this was me for a long time. I'm going to wait till, I'm going to do 5 photo shoots and then I'm going to get that new camera. Or I'm going to wait till, I'm going to learn this lighting on YouTube first and then I'm going to get the studio. All I was doing was giving myself excuses out of fear because I was too lazy to learn studio lighting. And I just was too lazy to spend money on things that I needed. I was rather spend money in clubs, on bottles, buying clothes, fast food, things that I didn't need. But I'm sitting there telling myself, I don't have the money for this, so I'm going to wait for this. It's a lack. That's a lack mindset. Get out of a lack mindset. Have faith. Believe in yourself. Faith of a mustard seed. That's all you have to have. Have a little faith in God. And he will do the rest. He will show you, hey, if he told you to go out and do something, I challenge you to go out and do it and see what result it yields you. People want to harvest these seeds. They want to reap the benefits of seeds that they haven't planted. And that's not going to happen. And that was me for a long time. I'm thinking that just because I'm putting myself in a position to win as far as putting out a podcast once a month. Oh, that's supposed to go viral. That's supposed to be, maybe you're not doing enough too. You gotta stop saying, oh God, why me? Oh God, why this? And sometimes you just gotta tell yourself, man, I probably just wasn't doing enough. I probably was slacking off. Be real. Hold yourself accountable. One thing that changed my life was when my mentor, he told me, he said, everything that happens in your life, I want you to take full accountability for it, even if it had nothing to do with you. When you go through that toll, I don't want you to say, man, why they putting these tolls everywhere? I want you to say, I went through that toll. I made a mistake. You getting into it with somebody out in traffic. Maybe you missed your exit because you was arguing. You like, man, if they would never got on my nerves or they would never said nothing to me, I would never miss my exit. No, I want you to say, I take that. I missed my exit. When you do that, you keep the power. When you blame somebody else, you put the power on them. And in order to move up in business, in order to be successful, having the power means having ownership. And ownership is the first part of having a business. When you own up to everything, that is one of the key factors of being a business owner and an entrepreneur is ownership. Taking responsibility. When it goes wrong, it's your fault. When it goes good, it's your fault. When it's in the middle, it's your fault. If you can wrap your head around that, then you'll be good. I appreciate you guys for coming to tune in for another Motivation Monday. This was How to Fail Forward. But before we get out here, I want to share something key that I learned in a book, Adversity and Advantage. And this is a book written by the author Napoleon Hill. And he says, the first thing anyone should do following a failure or a defeat of any sort or an unpleasant circumstance is to begin at once to search for the seed of an equivalent benefit that comes from all such experiences. There never has been and there never will be an adversity of any sort that does not carry with it a seed of equivalent advantage. But the usual reaction to failure and defeat is negative, and the individual stifles himself with fear and discouragement instead of taking inventory of the experience to see what advantage it may have brought. Okay, Napoleon Hill said a lot in that. But in layman's terms, he was saying fail forward. Learn from your mistakes. Get better the next time. But make sure that you show up and there is a next time. You guys be great this week. Go out. Be the person God called you to be. Stay tuned in for the next episode.